If you click this video at one point away, then please tell me why it was, so that I can improve. Otherwise, hi and welcome. I'm trying to learn political science today, the dilemma of modern man, and after we've done that, we're gonna do leg injury prevention training. And if you participate in the leg injury prevention training, then it's at your own risk. And I have here this double page about something, I haven't read it, about some type of politics, and I try to read it and understand it. The book is a British book and it's written in the 70s. The dilemma of modern man by main humans, so man and woman. Martial progress offset by a weakening of community ties. So they're saying the progress isn't so good because the community ties are not so good, I think. The idea of modernity is a key factor in the world today. It stands for industrialization, training in science and technology, proper administration, and a full range of social and medical services. Okay, they're saying modernity is something important for the world to get. For many people, and that means industrialization, so that many things are based on industry and not on agriculture, and also that people get education and training in science and in technology, while it is available, and also an administration run on what way the medium of proper, and also a full range of social and medical services. So with this social structures work with infrastructure and so on, and also the medical services. On the whole, people want to move forward. Any check on economic growth is regarded as a disaster. Only some of those in the wealthiest societies now believe that the drawbacks of modernity may be beginning to outweigh its gains. Okay, I don't understand 2-3 words of it. I don't really know what the phrase any check means. It seems to me mean something else than I thought it means. I don't know what drawback means and so on. So, but I think what I want to say is that in the whole, most countries in the world want to move to this modernized thing, which I just told you, with the science, technology, industrialization, social and medical services. Only in some areas there are some people who think that the drawbacks from it are outweighing the gains of modernization. Members of the Western middle classes, for instance, are worrying about the balance of nature and pollution. People in the poorer countries, however, see the smoke and effluent of industry as signs of progress. Okay, they're saying that some people in Western areas, so Europe, North America, are thinking that the pollution done through the industrialization and the fabrics is bad for the nature. Other people in other areas, mostly in poorer countries, think not that if they see smoke or something as a bad sign, but as a sign of progress, as something good to go to the direction of modernization. Again, the book is from the 70s and written in Britain. There are limitations to this upward process. One is the growth of population. In India and South America, the rise in population cancels out a proportion of increasing output. In 1955, the population of India was 380 million. 20 years later, it was 600 million, so almost doubled in 20 years. Or furthermore, you have the numbers. While the present-day technology can deliver death on an enormous scale, they're speaking of atomic weapons. This is from the 70s, so we're speaking about atomic weapons. Advances in medicine are freeing children from infant mortality and disease. So the first thing was, I wanted to read it out, that in some areas the country is making big steps in the direction of modernizations, but the population is rising so much that it cancels out on the whole scene the steps done into the direction of modernization. India, for example, the risk of a third of population within 20 years, from 400 million to 600 million. It's more than a third. The next thing is that at the time in the 70s, the human beings have built atomic weapons which are able to kill everyone on the planet, but also make progress in medicine so that we're able to almost completely erase the possibility that a child dies through a disease, for example. As a result, young hungry populations pour into the towns, making every problem worse. The services cannot cope, neither can the old values and beliefs. So what we're saying is here that there are now many people which need agriculture and food, and they are going into the towns they're going into towns, and some problems which are in the towns are getting worse because there are now more people living. So there's a problem with not enough streets, now double as many cars are drawn. Political rallying cries. So the words which people make politics. So what they say basically on their posters. People grasp at political myths to restore their sense of community and explain the misery. Marxism claims to provide the explanation and the hope, while nationalism gives cultural identity and solidarity against foreign exploiters. Both nationalism and Marxism work on the same principle as early capitalism. They stress the need for hardship and discipline and work now in order to achieve prosperity later. All developing countries, capitalist or otherwise, are run by elites which demand sacrifices from the population for the sake of a future. It's already a bit complicated to explain what I said there. Now the first thing was that there are political parties, and there are political parties who run on principles like Marxism, which tries to give an explanation for which both try to explain the misery which is happening in some people and in some places, and gives the hope that it gets better. And there's also another political idea, nationalism, and that has been on the posters to give the people cultural identity and also solidarity against foreign people or exploiters. And both are working on the same principle as early capitalism, do I say here, and that is to have no hardship and discipline for prosperity later. And that it is in the most countries, so do I say that. Another limitation on progress is the rundown of energy resources. Demand for fossil fuels stokes inflation in the industrial societies which depend on them, and hence power and wealth to the elites which control these resources in places like Saudi Arabia, Iran, Kuwait, Abu Dhabi and Libya. Poorer countries in the third world will be influenced by threatening to alter the balance. I don't understand the last part. So we're saying that the run to modernization and overall to keep the modernization running is based a lot in the 70s also on fossil fuels. And these fossil fuels are not everywhere to be found. They are in countries like Saudi Arabia, Iran, Kuwait, Abu Dhabi and Libya. And now the countries of the Western, or many countries at all, are buying now the fossil fuels for oil from these countries, and that brings a lot of money and wealth and power to the peoples who are controlling these oil stations in these countries from which is bought. 1/3 of the world's peoples lives in industrial societies. Sales of the American giant General Motors in 1970 exceeded the entire gross national product of countries such as Egypt, Greek and Yugoslavia. What I'm saying is that the one firm, and they're saying now from the 1970, from the year General Motors, a car fabric, sold cars with a greater worth as the whole country of Egypt or Yugoslavia is producing altogether. So we're saying all people inside of Egypt did not make so much money as was bought in cars of worth of that one car fabric in Canada and the United States. While the rest of the globe is striving to become industrialized, the developed 1/3 is rapidly moving towards post-industrialization. This describes the condition of a society increasingly founded on technology and on the intellectual abilities of its people. Up to now, industrial society has been based on the manufacture of goods, just as the earlier industrial stage was founded on the extraction of raw materials. Okay, we're saying that 1/3 of the world want to become modernized or industrialized, and 1/3 is already past it, and it's working towards technology and intellect and education, basically. Theoretical knowledge is an asset which can never be used up. It can belong to the whole community, and the search for it cannot benefit one person exclusively. So resources are provided by governments and public institutions such as universities. The professional class founded on such knowledge grows up and edges out the entrepreneurs and blue-collar workers, the classes based on manufacturing. This new class rises through the educational system and through the merit acquired by means of certificates and expertise. So we're saying a new type of social class basically arises, and these are people who have studied and went to university and learned. Next to people who are entrepreneurs, I don't know what that is, and blue-collar workers, so manufacturing workers. Post-industrial society. The term was coined by Harvard sociologist Daniel Bell, requires more and more services in the form of health, education, welfare, agencies, research, computers and system analysis. Bell argues that the character of the fight to live alters. It is no longer a game against nature or a game against the fabricated nature of machinery, but a game between persons. So what is said there, education itself, in the first part they said, it can never be used up, it can belong to the whole community. It's, on the other hand, it's basically also technically nothing worth. From education, no one can live. So that this system based on a new class of education and studying requires an underlying layer based out of health, education, welfare, agencies, research, computer system. Basically, I think that is what I mean to express. I said it already. What in the West, new professions and skills proliferate with the growth in size and complexity of modern industry. The corporate guilds and family concerns of the past have been supplanted by private and state firms, business and trade associations, and bodies representing producers and consumers. I don't understand it, but I try to read it again. Let's read the next part. The Department of Labor in the United States of America has defined more than 20,000 occupations. Some of these demand abilities and knowledge that can take up to 10 years to acquire. Others require less education, and it is in these that movement from job to job is most frequent. These occupations employ the casual laborers and foreign workers who are important to the economies of Germany and the United States. So we're saying here that there are 20,000 different types of jobs or occupations listed in the United States, which people can have. And to become some of these jobs, people need to study for over 10 years. And so they need that whole layer of how the society works. And in these jobs, the people don't change so much from occupation to occupation, but in other jobs where they don't have to learn for 10 years, just a few months, there are faster changes in the people who work in what firm or in what area. And that is now happening oftentimes through foreign workers, for example, in Germany and the United States of America. That was the political science part so far. In the next part, we're going to continue with reading this big double page we just read. If you were here for political science, you can go directly to the next part of political science. If you stay here and participate in the Lake Intervention Training, then ist der Kongress. We just have a little over a minute. So we're having a good standing leg and we're swinging the leg to the side and in front. Our leg forward and to the side. And now the foot in front and back. Our foot in front and back. And now stand good, leg up, arms out. Hands over to one side, leg over to one side. And down, other leg up. And over. Change. And down. And one leg up. Bring the knee up and down. We don't have time to do the proper exercises, so we can't warm up to the other exercises, which we would do, but let's just do this. Leg to the side and lift the leg up. And the other leg up and down. And now one leg up and down. We can't do the other one without warming probably up, and we just have 20 seconds left. So legs to the side, breathing it out. And breathing in, close the legs. And breathing out. That was a short leg injury prevention training. I thank you very much, and until next time.